Welcome to the Be the Light Crown Edition podcast. I'm Hanna Fray, your host and pageant queen extraordinaire. Fun fact, while most people are resistant to change, I'm excited by it. So this podcast is designed to allow me to be the light for others. By sharing my experiences across countless topics where I demolished my fears, prejudice, expectations, and rebuilt brick by brick. My hope is I can encourage you to seek knowledge, implement change, and above all, trust in God. So let's get to it. It's time for some you time. Hello everyone. Before we dive in, I want to provide a quick medical disclaimer. So anything that you hear on these podcast episodes are not meant to be taken as medical advice. If you have questions about your own specific healthcare needs, be sure to advise with your particular healthcare provider, ideally a functional provider, but certainly wanted to make that clear. Additionally, I have also given each of my guests permission to discuss any historical health issues, questions, care that they have personally given myself or my children. So certainly they have that the ability to do so, as I think it's really going to provide you guys with some additional insights and value. So thanks so much, and let's dive right in. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Be the Light Crown Edition podcast. We are on our second episode of our Provider series, and I have today with me Miss Regina South. We are so excited to have her. She is a licensed massage therapist and a friend of mine who I have met since coming to Mississippi. So say hello to Regina. Hi, Regina.
Hi, thank you, Hanna. It's nice to be here.
I know, we're so excited to have you. As everyone knows, I've already shared this in the first episode, but this is a little bit of a unique format for my podcast, but I think so important. I wanted to really bring on folks who are kind of experts in the space, and also try to have someone from each area of like the healthcare field that I find is really helpful for my own health. And it's holistic, right? There's various ways in which we can attune to our own health, whether that's functional health, whether that's chiropractor health. And in this case today, you and I are talking about massage therapy and how that impacts the body. So I think this is going to be really fun, a little bit different. I don't know if a lot of folks even think about massage therapy from like a medical or a health perspective. I think a lot of folks, and it can be, right? Like think about it from a relaxing perspective and more of like a enjoyment or an extracurricular. And so that's not necessarily how I view massage therapy always. So really excited to get your perspective. But yeah, before we dive in, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your history in the field, how you practice, where you practice, your family, anything that you want to share.
Okay, well, I have been practicing for 17 years. I got into this field, oddly enough, early on in my 20s when I was taking care of my grandmother, and I ended up becoming her caregiver. And it was through that time that I realized that I wanted to help people. And so, looking back, I can remember as a kid going through encyclopedia books and looking at this skeletal system and getting like intrigued by the whole anatomy and aspect of it all. But I have since then, I've worked on my own. I've worked for 2-day spas. I've worked for 2 local chiropractors, and I've done a bit of traveling for poker tournaments, and I have my own office in South Haven, Mississippi.
Now that's great. I think it's clear that you have so much experience. I've worked with several massage therapists in my lifetime, and even when I initially came to see you, you can just kind of tell, when you first get worked on by somebody, even though you're new to, my body, so to speak, like, and kind of learning, you could tell that you're very skilled at what you do. And that's why, we just continued to see one another, and now we've, become friends. So really great to hear that history. So just to kind of give people some background. So when I moved to Mississippi, which was right about 2 years ago, of course, my very first step is like find a chiropractor. Well, because I was like 7 months pregnant, right? So I definitely needed to find someone because I firmly believe in chiropractic care. And one of my criteria was that I could also find a conjoined, or at least someone affiliated with them that did chiropractic massages just for that time I needed, it to be easy for scheduling. And that's where I met you. And, we kind of went right to work. I think I see you religiously every 4 weeks now for 2 years. So, I mean, we've technically spent a lot of time together.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and so you kind of helped me from early on. And then even now, actually just recently started having you come to my home for massages, which is like an even added bonus for me. So, that's really great. And, if you could just share, what are your like top perceived benefits of massages? I mean, and there's different types too. So maybe we should start there, because I call it a chiropractic massage. That's kind of a made up term that I'm using. I don't even know if that's a real term. But what I more so mean is more of like a specific massage for a specific need, like you're treating something. So I'd love to kind of hear your thoughts on, yeah, what are the main benefits?
So there are several different types of massages. There is, your typical Swedish and relaxation. That's generally going to be for people that are dealing with high stress jobs that are just needing to unwind um, mentally. And sometimes that can even roll into physically, obviously.
Mhm.
But then you also have therapeutic, which is a little bit more than just a relaxation. It deals with finding areas in the body, feeling that tissue in the body that's needing that extra help. And there's deep tissue where you're really digging into areas, also being mindful not to be hurting at the same time. But the point is to create blood flow to areas of the body that are lacking that, because your blood is very healing to your body. And most of the time when you have an issue going on, whether it be a post injury or recent surgery that you had weeks ago, whatever, your body has a tendency to hold on to that area and stiffen up. And if you can get blood flow into that area, it creates the concoction for healing. And it helps with joint mobility and releases natural pain killers, which are your endorphins in your body.
Mhm.
I like to do more of a medical based massage. I taught for 2 years anatomy and physiology, and so a lot of what I do, I like to zone in on joints that are not working properly and try and stimulate some of that blood flow into that muscular and that tendon and leg area to create that flexibility that we tend to lose as we get older.
Yeah, or if you're like me and tend to abuse your body, I have to limp into appointments with Regina, and she kind of tells me how broken I am and have need some help. But we primarily do therapeutic, and I want to say a great skill set that you have is while you ask, what do you need me to work on, or like how are you feeling? I could probably say nothing, and she can feel, oh, this doesn't feel right. Is that hurting you? And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that actually doesn't feel great the past few weeks. And so that's been my experience with finding a great licensed massage therapist, is that intuition, I guess. I don't know if you have a word for it, but just that skill set, and being able to identify areas of the body that do need work done, even if your client maybe isn't communicating that as well. I think that's what sets y'all apart, from like a medical or chiropractic massage perspective.
Yeah, and it's crazy to me too that a lot of people do not know their own bodies sometimes. So it takes
Yeah.
somebody else to actually help distinguish and pull that out of them. And I
Mhm.
did leave off cupping. Cupping is
Yeah.
a really great um, tool too in massage, that it helps with lymphatic drainage. It helps with blood flow too, but it also helps with post surgery, um, to kind of get your body back to where it should be after the trauma that it's been through.
Yeah, and I think that's what folks again like are missing. That's why I really was excited that you agreed to come in and chat a bit, because I think this is a piece of the health puzzle that gets overlooked, that folks don't prioritize. And I get it for whatever reason, time, money, a good provider, or it's just this conception of that massages are only for, for fun. But it really is healing, to your point, and it really should be a part of care plans, just like, physical therapy, or just like chiropractic care. It's the full picture. Would love to hear your opinion too on, I think there's a lot of misconceptions around when it is or isn't appropriate to get massages. So you hear a lot of like, if folks are dealing with certain illnesses or like cancer, for example, or just had a surgery or a post-op, or if they're pregnant or nursing, those are some of the common ones I can think of, and you might have others. What do you say to folks who are hesitant around receiving massages, when they have those issues going on?
Well, some people are hesitant about massage, and it's one of those things that I feel like as a baby, that is one of the first things that we experience, and that is touch. And there's no reason for you to lose that experience even into adulthood.
Mhm.
Um, I tell a lot of people, especially, those that are about to go through a knee replacement or a hip replacement, anything like that. I feel like a lot of people overlook the fact that they've been dealing with that for so long, that you have got tendons and ligaments that are shortened on that side. And when you go in for your surgery and they go to cut and replace the things, well, most of the time people will end up having one leg shorter than the other. So
Mm,
it's really good to get a massage a couple of times before your surgery to kind of lengthen those tendons back out so that you don't have that issue arise.
I've never even
Um,
thought of that. That is so smart.
yeah, and it just helps with people get over their surgery faster too, because there's more blood flow that has been stimulated there. Uh,
Mhm. That makes a
I'm
lot of sense. And then
yeah.
what about pregnancy or breastfeeding? Any thoughts there?
Well, it's funny. Some of my favorite stories actually are with prenatal massages.
Mm.
I'm kind of 6 for 6 on people delivering their babies like several hours after I've given them a massage,
Yeah.
which really fun because I start getting all these phone calls for people that are about to have their babies, and it's really funny. My niece, my one of my best friends, my hairstylist, and the numbers keep growing. But yeah, it's like as soon as I work on them, they're sending me pictures of their babies the next day. So it's
Awesome.
good for relaxing and really setting off those good endorphins in the body. It's good for people that are experiencing depression and they seem to can't get out of the funk.
Mhm.
People that can't sleep well, it stimulates and puts them into a better sleep pattern.
Wow.
And I do like to ask a lot of my clients when they come in, like, please let me know how you feel tomorrow. And most of the time, they're always telling me that they slept so well, and
Mhm.
one of those things that I feel like it's so hard being an adult, and it's definitely worth getting a massage.
What
For
is
all.
the what would you say is like the one thing that you wish people understood or knew about massages? Whether it's like the massage therapist themselves or receiving a massage, what's something that you might tell folks you wish they knew?
I feel like a lot of people do think massage is just for um, fun, and it's just for um, a little foo-foo thing, but really it's so much more than that. It allows your body to not only be just release stress, but it also enables it to keep from having to overexert itself. Because while you're getting a massage, it's stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system. And in doing that, it causes your body to be able to truly relax so that what I'm doing, I'm creating your body and keeping it from having the energy that it's using to have to do all the other things. It's helping fluidity, movement in a cellular level of your body. It's helping promote better skin cells, newer skin cells to come up. And overall, I feel like a lot of people do not give our blood enough credit. When you promote blood flow, there's magic that happens.
I think people don't give our bodies little to no credit for what it can do to help heal itself, which is how God designed it, right? Um, and I think something too that maybe wasn't specifically mentioned but I alluded to is how I've kind of coupled massage therapy specifically with chiropractic care, but you could couple that with any like co-care for whatever goal that you're trying to achieve. I just personally have seen such benefits to like receiving a massage and to your point, you relax the muscles and loosen things up a bit. And then you have a much more effective adjustment with your chiropractor, just like you'd have a much more effective physical therapy appointment or, whatever it is. And again, just speaking from experience on that. So definitely just not to overlook. I'm glad you called that out because I want to reiterate not to overlook massage therapy as a part of just overall care for sure. I
You
think.
know, thing too is I started experiencing massage at a very young age. In eighth grade, I went in for a basketball physical, and the doctor had me touch my toes and discovered that I had scoliosis, which is a lateral curve in your spine. Mine happens to be in my lumbar area. So it affects my walking muscle, or also your iliopsoas. And so from the moment I found out about that, they wanted to do surgery, and my mother would not allow that. So she started taking me to a chiropractor in Memphis, and then also to her massage therapy, who she swears saved her life.
Mhm.
And that woman ended up becoming my mentor when I got out of school. And she is actually the one that put that in my head about the blood flow and how important blood flow is to the body. And, um, we do take that for granted. And
Yeah.
a lot of our daily routines, we're sitting at desks, we're sitting behind a wheel of a car. We're not actively moving like they probably did back years and years ago when they had to really get out and work. And so or we're seeing repercussions of that in our joints because of it.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all know somebody who deals with joint health issues. So, and a lot of it feels, excuse me, a lot of it can feel like there's nothing we can do about it, right? That it's kind of portrayed as genetic or just bound to happen, and I tend to disagree. I think there's a lot more that we can be doing again in this wheelhouse of health to have better health outcomes, and I think this is just again a piece of the puzzle. So yeah, we don't want to overlook it. What would you recommend for folks in terms of like frequency or determining if this should fit into their care plan? Do you have any high level recommendations or where someone should start?
I think generally people should come in, get a massage, and depending on their body, come up with a plan with their healthcare provider or their massage therapist on how frequent. Um, I see a lot of people that have got a lot of neck issues, shoulder issues, hip issues. And depending on the severity of it, if they're really stiff, I always tell them maybe come in a week or 2 weeks. But then eventually get to where you can come at least once a month, just as a routine wellness plan so that you can keep on moving, because we all know it's all about consistency.
For sure. That's why I have my strict regimen. And I always try to structure my visits as well around times when I know I'm going to be putting extra stress on my body or traveling, because I just tend to, whether it's just dehydration or just lack of, being in tune to my body's needs, those are when I find myself getting out of whack. So I've kind of, we've discussed that for my personal care, but to your point, I also fell into massage therapy as a part of my treatment plan from scoliosis, which we've talked about, because I also have scoliosis. And so definitely don't discount this as an option for folks who have like permanent, not to call it like a deformity, but if you've like a permanent that might not be ever fixed, right? Like I don't intend to have surgery either. And we can't pretend that like, since we're not perfectly straight, we're probably always going to have some, dysregularity in our muscle lengths and how we walk. And so that might be something I always have done, but just to have the quality of care, to be healthy, to be able to like run and exercise like I do. And I do, as you know, very serious HIIT training, at Orange Theory Fitness. And I'm actually doing my first 10K next weekend. So I'm even like running a lot more, which is hard on your body. It just allows you to maintain your health, to do the things that you love, so that we can grow old and care for our kids and our grandkids ideally. So I know those are my goals. I'm sure they're the same for you as well.
I do wish that the medical industry would connect more with Eastern. I feel like there is a bridge that is lacking in that aspect. When I years ago when I went to get acupuncture done,
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was very peculiar that every time they would do one part of my leg, I would feel more of a sensitivity. And I asked, why is that? They said, oh, that's your liver meridian. Well, most Americans have liver issues because of the choices of food that we make.
Sure.
So when they said that, though, it made me realize, just even walking in the casino floor for years in the past, I've noticed that one area tends to get more spider veins or whatever. And so I feel like there is a disconnect with the Western and Eastern world, with how to cope and tend to health and wellness in the body. There's so much more we could be doing.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, again, I've moved around a lot, so I have experienced a lot of healthcare providers, which is why I feel more comfortable than others, like sharing my opinion about Western medicine. I mean, there have been some, that are good, in sprinkled in, but a consistent miss is considering more of like a holistic health approach. I can't say that it's ever been recommended to me to consider like a massage as part of my healthcare
Right.
regimen. And I'm dealing with like a curvature of my spine. Like that feels intuitive to me now, but I guess it's not quite as intuitive for a lot of folks. So I again couldn't agree more. I think something to consider as well, just while we're on the topic of cost. I mean, massages aren't it's a lot of bang for your buck. And obviously the price is going to vary depending on who you see. But there are ways that I have personally experienced where you can get insurance involved. So I do want to make sure that I just mention that. And correct me if I'm wrong, but individual licensed massage therapists are next to never going to be able to accept insurance. That's not the reality of it.
Right.
But there might be cases where the chiropractor visit or office that you go to, they might have a massage therapist on staff and their office can accept insurance. And I have experienced that. I'm not sure how they're working it through, and I've had friends tell me as well that they have that option. So just be sure to look into your insurance benefits as a first step. If, why not, right? Like use the benefits that you have. But outside of that, we had this conversation earlier with the other provider I had on my podcast, and it's this concept of like, you can pay for it now, or you can pay for it later, right? Like you
Mhm.
can decide to add massage therapy or add whatever, comorbidity or therapy option into your healthcare plan and pay the premiums now, or you can be sick and unable to care for yourself and not have a quality of life later. And I know
Right.
that you and I both have people in our lives that aren't just as healthy as we would want them to be. And so what encouragement do you have there? Would you echo that?
I would definitely echo that. I it I think also as a massage therapist, and I taught this to a lot of my former students about having compassion with people. And I do find myself when I'm out in public and I see somebody, I see them walking and I see the struggle, and I really would love to help them. But it really starts with yourself, you know. Um, we all want our mothers to live longer or to get along, get around, be able to do the things with their grandchildren. But honestly, it starts with them. They have to make that choice.
Absolutely. Yeah, and this is just one way that you can serve yourself. So, it's important to be educated. So, another question I have for you then, excuse me. I couldn't have picked the worst day to record, by the way, with like this cough. I can't get over it though, and I have a 10K in a week, so I really need this to like go away.
You need
Um,
to moringa seeds.
okay. Well, I'll text you about that. I was gonna do my son's nebulizer with just some saline. I'm hoping to break stuff up. Um, but tell me your favorite like massage therapy story. I mean, I know you've got some fun ones because you haven't even dove into all the like you mentioned the poker stuff, which I don't know if folks really picked up on that all the way. But yeah, whether it's like you could even do two. You can do your favorite story or like your favorite health story, whatever you want to share, just so we can kind of learn a little bit more
Okay.
about you.
All right. Favorite health story. I'm a body nerd and I wanted to on my bucket list of things to do was to work on an MS patient just to see if I could help them. And it just so happened that they came in and they had not been able to feel their feet or their calves for 3 years. Um, and about the fourth session in, sometimes it takes one or two, three sessions to finally find out the plan that we really need to be using. And I decided to do the cupping on the back of their hamstrings. And it immediately started waking up the neurons. And they began saying, "Oh my goodness, I can feel some tingling in my feet and my calves." And that day they had full feeling in their feet and their calves, and they have maintained it for 3 years. So
Oh
that
my
was like a miracle.
gosh.
I'm like, I was just amazed. I'm still amazed.
That is really cool. It's a really cool story.
Yeah, they threw away their shoes because they did not like the way that their Crocs felt on their feet after that.
Oh my
And
goodness.
probably a really cool story is I had a day off. I went in for a facial at the day spa that I worked at. And when I came out, they needed a massage therapist to work the Poison concert that was coming through South Haven. And so I didn't have time to go home and change. Here I am in my flip flops, tank top, and blue jeans. And I make it over there and I work on Bobby Dahl, the bass guitar player. And he ended up giving me front row tickets and backstage passes for that night. And I called my friend and her brother were able to attend. And we got to have a really neat interview with him. We got to go to the dressing room, and he said that for the whole time he was out on the stage that night, his back did not hurt. And he thanked me, and we got some really cool pictures. And he told me about some stories with his daughter, and it was just a really neat. It's neat to be able to connect with people that you normally wouldn't be connecting to in this field.
Yeah.
A,
That
a
is
lot of
that is really cool. And I remember a fun story that well, I think it's really interesting because I had never even thought of this. Because generally when we get massages done, it's like an hour, maybe 2 hours max. But tell everyone what's the longest massage that you've ever done.
Well, that was in Vegas this past summer when I went to go work the World Series of Poker. And let me just say, chair massage in the poker world is very hard on your body in comparison to a table massage. So
Mhm.
I've been doing it though for 15 years in the poker world. And I haven't really had any complaints, but this one particular player wanted a table massage. And I was staying in an Airbnb and my roommate was there. So I went to go work on them and they wanted a 4 hour massage. And about an hour and a half into it, they asked if they could up it to 2 more hours, making it a total of 6 hours. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, go really, really slow. So I
Yeah.
basically did about an hour and a half on each leg, an hour on each arm, and an hour on the back. Give or take. I kind of did the stomach as well because in Eastern medicine, that's one of the most important things to massage. And I don't normally do abdominal massages unless someone's having an issue and we discuss it ahead
Mhm.
of. But for them, they did, and so yeah, it was a 6 hour massage, and they then invited me to go to Portland, Oregon to work on them and their girlfriend at some point, because they said they'd never had anybody that could feel their body and change the pressure depending
Mhm.
on felt. So it really is about experience. When you've been doing it long enough, you can feel things that you typically wouldn't have felt in your first year, you know?
Yeah,
So
no doubt. Like I said, that's been my experience. You can just tell when someone can pick up on you or not. And I put it on my wish list to have a 4 hour massage. That's a new life goal. So one of these days, we'll see. I think that's so cool. Well, the last thing, Regina, that I wanted to just share is if folks are local or if you do connect on social media, how folks can, get in touch with you if they're interested in your services, and or if there's anything else you wanted to share.
well, I am currently my office is it's located in a kind of somewhat surprising place. But it's good this summertime because people are traveling.
Mhm.
Office is in a high-end RV park in a building. I have a little room, a 10 by 10 room, and there's plenty of restrooms around. But basically, I've been there for probably 15 years or so,
I didn't realize
something.
it was that long. Wow, yeah.
And I worked at the spas in there and I kind of
Mhm.
went back and forth. But yeah, I've been doing that there. And usually people hear about me through word of mouth. I don't really advertise. But a lot of people have my phone number and they text me or they find me on Facebook under Regina South and they PM me or whatever. That's basically the ways people get a hold of me or through, friends that give my number out and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, what a great problem to have that you don't have to advertise. I feel like that's a
I, right. Who
I
would
know
have
that you stay busy, so
but I do plan on creating a website later down the road. I just haven't done it yet.
yeah, I mean, if you want, I'll include your phone number, if you'd like for local folks,
Yeah,
but,
that's
yeah, although I really would prefer them not to contact you, so you're still available when I need you, but I won't be selfish. Awesome. Well, this has been great. Again, I really appreciate you taking the time. Again, I know how busy you are. I know that your daughter has a play that you've been really involved in, and things have been kind of crazy for you. So, really appreciate it. And I really think that our listeners are going to get a lot of value out of this. I think this will be more of the surprising topics for the healthcare provider series that will really open a lot of minds and hopefully encourage a lot of positive health decisions. That is the goal ultimately, is that we're educating and we're encouraging and inspiring folks to maybe go book their own massage and start to research their benefits and kind of determine how to work it into their health plan. So I really appreciate everything that you shared. I even learned something. And I mean, I like to joke that for my listeners that Regina is kind of also like my therapist in a way, because we sometimes we talk for a little bit during our sessions and sometimes we've got some moments of peace, but for the most part we're pretty much just like talking the whole time, and sharing our life story, which is great because you're a pleasure to talk to. So yeah, just
well,
thank you again.
on that note, though, I do know to be quiet in a massage. So it's good about reading body language, if I but if they don't want to talk, I won't. And I really appreciate you too. Thank you so much for having me on here.
Awesome. Well, all right, that's it for today. Thank you all so much, and be sure to tune in next time for the next healthcare provider mini series. And thank you. We'll catch you next time.